the body language and how we get feedback from people, but we also need to think about how we keep them engaged, how we keep them actually tuned in. And I'm going to start to use the term leaning into their laptop screen because they're engaged with you. We need to stop them getting distracted with YouTube, Internet Explorer, email, Candy Crush, whatever it is, because they're sitting at their PC listening to you and expecting to be entertained by you to a certain extent to hold their attention. So you get lots of competitions that you need to deal with as well. So we know there's lots of benefits of doing virtual classrooms and lots of reasons why we should do it, but also we just need to be conscious that our audience might not be as motivated as we are, and we need to bear that in mind. So my first tip is know what it's like to be a learner. If you're going to run a virtual classroom, and if you've never done it before, actually go and attend a few virtual classrooms as a learner. Sit there and get a feel for what you like and what you dislike about that virtual classroom. What's holding your attention, what's keeping you engaged, what's entertaining you, what's boring you, what's really not fun, what was quite awkward and didn't work quite well. You know, so try and understand what it's like from a learner's perspective, particularly in a virtual classroom, because that's going to help you really build a much greater event. Someone's waving at me there and get distracted. So, my audio gone? There we go. So the first thing is really, again, start to think differently. Don't just take your PowerPoint slides. Look at your PowerPoint slides and look around your PowerPoint slides and deconstruct those into individual activities. Okay? Don't just upload your PowerPoint slides and expect that to work and run and just be as simple as it is in a normal physical environment. Look at what you do before you deliver your PowerPoint slides. You know, when you walk into a physical training session, you don't suddenly jump out behind the screen and start presenting to people. You go in, you say hi, you make eye contact, you maybe exchange some stories with people, you might get some feedback from them in terms of where they've come from today, where they live, those types of things. So try and think about those types of activities, because they're quite important, because they're going to actually ease people into the solution as well. It's going to get them tuned in to actually engaging and working with you right from the start. So don't surprise them, is the first thing. But do deconstruct those PowerPoint slides into activities, actions, interactions, things that you want to do. Filter out your dislikes and your likes. So remember when you were attending as a learner, what was good, what was bad, what was interesting, what was dull. Filter in the good stuff, filter out the bad stuff. Again, look at your content. And then create a plan. 2 minutes, 5 minutes, just sketch it out. Literally list out 15, 20 activities that you want to run. And this is quite important when it comes to a solution like Adobe Connect, because we can now take those activities and that plan and actually do some interesting things with it, and that's what I'm going to show you in a second. Before I show you that, I need to tell you a few things about Adobe Connect. The first thing is, it has a thing called persistent content. So what does persistent content mean? Persistent content means whatever you do in that Adobe Connect classroom stays in that classroom until you delete it, move it, change it, whatever it may be. So if you put in share pods or chat pods or movies, even text on the screen, that will all stay in that classroom. So you can create, like if you go back to school, your old biology room, your old chemistry room, your old physics room, whatever it may be, because when you go into it, it's got all the materials in it that you need to deliver your virtual classroom. So you can reuse that room again and again. You can fine-tune it. You can continue to look at it and go, what do I dislike, what do I like, change it and update it. So it's not a big effort every time you go and run a virtual classroom. So that's really powerful. The other thing is, you've got a thing called multiple pods and multiple layouts. Multiple pods basically means I'm not limited to just one PowerPoint presentation or one video or one poll. I can load in 50 PowerPoint presentations, 20 videos, 30 quizzes, polls, chat pods, whatever it is I want. I can stuff it full into Adobe Connect. And the layouts is how we organize these pods, which you haven't seen yet, but I'm going to show you this in a second. The layouts of these things down your right-hand side of the screen, those are like flip chart pages. And each one of those flip chart pages, it's not a PowerPoint slide, but it's like an activity. So each one of those pages is a different interaction and a different activity. So what you can do is you can seamlessly move between different activities. So you're not wrestling with the technology, you've preloaded all your content and you're actually going to deliver those activities. So let's have a look and see what some of these activities might look like. Okay, so some people say you need to interact with people every 5 minutes. I say it's however interesting your content is. So if it's really interesting, you probably don't have to engage with them too many times. If it's really dull, you probably need to interact with them every 1 minute. So I forgot that point just to bring that in. So here's some activities, and you'll see me now moving down the your right hand side of the screen in terms of how I'm going to seamlessly go through these. So lobby, tech test, icebreakers, really important at the beginning of every virtual classroom. So here we go, I've just changed layout. And now, this is typically what I would use as a starting page. We've got a countdown timer, so people know when your session is going to start. The most common thing I get from people at the start of the session is, I can't hear anything. The most common answer I give them is, it's because I'm not talking. Okay? So let them know when you're going to talk, whether it's using the countdown timer, the chat box, whatever it may be. This is also your opportunity to start to engage with them as well and ease them into the solution. Start to get them to lean into the solution. So things we're going to ask them to do is do a tech test. Check out what's happening. Sorry, the resolution of this projector's made everything kind of squashed in and a bit funny, so on a normal resolution screen that would look a little bit better. So let's do a tech test. Let's make sure the audio and video, whatever tool you want to use, is working, because the last thing you want, if you've got 20 or 30 people in a virtual classroom, is one person who joins at the last minute and goes, my headset doesn't work. You've now paused the whole thing, and you've got to fix that person's headset, whatever. My rule, give them 30 seconds to fix it. If they can't fix it, spin them off to, well, with Adobe, they've got 24/7 telephone support for all your participants. Fire them off to them. You cannot delay the other 25 people for that one person. They're going to get frustrated, bored, and you're going to lose them from the off. Okay? But get people in early, tell them when you're going to speak, get them to do a tech test. And again, think about some of the tools that you can use in PowerPoint. So in PowerPoint, you all know you've got buttons you can hyperlink through. Here's a simple PowerPoint slide in the top right-hand corner. I'm joining from my PC laptop. I click on that button. It will show me what I need to do to fix my PC laptop. Or I'm joining from an iPad. Again, it'll give me quick instructions in terms of what I can do from that point of view. Okay? So that's the lobby. Get everyone set up, get everything working great. So another activity might be to familiarize them with the technology. So it's a bit like you're on a plane and you're showing them where the toilets are, the emergency exits and all those kind of things. Show them how they can get your attention, either by raising their hand, putting something in the chat box. Don't assume they can see all this. Spend 20 seconds just saying, here's how you're going to get my attention when you want to get my attention in the session. Then you might get into icebreakers. You know, so this is just a simple one of a European map, and you can just get people to literally drag and drop where they live. It will pick up their name from the attendees pod, it will show them where they are, it will connect people together. They go, oh look, there's 5 people from the same place. They can zoom in and out of this as well. I mean, this is just the kind of the starting point. But you can get right down to kind of street level, like on a Google Maps perspective as well. So just depending on where your audience is, that's just an example of one icebreaker. So the next thing is understanding your audience. So what I normally say is, let's do a check-in at the start. That check-in might be asking them if they've done any pre-work that you've asked them to do, so you understand where they're coming from. You might want to ask them their expectations of the session. You might want to tell them the agenda, ask them if there's anything missing. You might want to understand what their capabilities are, just using one of these quizzing tools that you can add into Adobe Connect as well. So there's lots of different ways that you can kind of get people to check in. But again, it's just kind of getting them, easing them in the technology, understanding where they're coming from, and making them feel a little bit more relaxed. So I haven't started presenting my virtual classroom yet. You know, I'm really just at the introduction stage. So again, these are all the things that you would do as trainers or as presenters when you walk into a normal classroom. So think about doing those things as well in a virtual classroom and lay them out and organize them in that sort of way. And you're really going to get the people on board as a result of that. I think that's going to be quite important. And again, I'm overplaying at the minute. You know, I've probably spent 5 minutes going through these kind of aspects. But this is probably 1 minute, 2 minutes at the beginning of your session. Really important. And people are now starting to lean in. They're starting to get interested. They're starting to switch off their email, not look at the YouTube video, put the phone down because Candy Crush is now more boring than you are, as it were. So you're starting to win them over as well and hold their attention, which I think is quite important from that point of view. Okay, so now we'll get into some presentation material. This here is the big green button of web conferencing. This is typically what a lot of people do. I'm going to load up my PowerPoint slides, I'm going to switch on my video, and I'm going to give you a chat pod so we can talk. So I think you'll see here in my presentation, that's probably layout number 5 or 6 that I've used, as it were. And most people start at this point, so try not and start at this point at all. This one's quite a simple one. This is again just seamlessly using different layouts. So I've got 2 different layouts that I've set up here. One is I'm presenting my slides, and the other one is I'm changing my focus. Now you'll see where I've got my webcam on. So this is just toggling between 2 layouts. One is changing the eye of the audience. It's getting them to lean in and look at me, yeah? And I can just flip back and forward between these 2 layouts as and when I want. The slide will always be on the same slide that as I want it to be on, whatever it may be, so it's all seamless and runs through. The more visually acute of you will notice that the top right-hand corner of each slide I've got a number. That is the number 6. Again, this is when I do instructional design for people. I number the slides to tell the facilitators what layout they should be on. So, you know, if you're using lots of layouts, just use little tips like that as well to help you guide you through the right-hand side, so you're always on the right activity with the right slide and everything's coordinated. So that's just one way of changing the focus. Testing for understanding. This is some of my most favorite activities for a virtual trainer. Okay? This is big lean in stuff. This is presenter, lean out, participants, lean in. So what do I mean by this? This is just a video that I'm playing. I can tee this video up at any time that I want to play it. And I can play it. There's no audio coming through, so don't worry about that. Play the video and then I can pause it, have a little chat with people or whatever. Or I can play the video the whole way through and ask people to participate and give me views and thoughts on this poll at the bottom. So what has this brought me? This video is 4 minutes and 53 seconds long. For me, the trainer, I've got 4 minutes and 53 seconds to sit back. I could go and make a cup of coffee if I wanted to. But more importantly, I can think about what I've done for the first half of the session. I can think about what feedback I've been getting. I can think about how am I going to change the focus of what I want to do in the next part of the session. That's for me, that's a real gift I've given myself as the trainer. But for the delegates, I've completely pulled them in. They've got to watch the video and they've got to give me feedback. So they've got to put down the Candy Crush, they've got to put down, you know, their games, their YouTube, their email and that kind of stuff. They've got to lean in, they've got to come in and participate and engage with me. So that's just one example of how you could do that. Another one is this one. This is just a PDF I've uploaded. You'll see there's a little synchronization button in the bottom right hand corner for you. I've unsynchronized this so every participant can read this at their own pace. They can scroll through it at their own pace independently of the presenter. And again, I'm going to test them for their understanding. I'm going to give them a little poll that they've got to complete, so they've got to lean in, participate, engage, give me feedback and tell me what they know. This is so simple, it's just crazy. So this is 4 chat boxes. Because I can create multiple pods in Adobe Connect, I've done 4 chat boxes. I've renamed the chat boxes strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Again, we've just had this discussion, we've shared this view, let's do a quick SWOT analysis on it, or a pros and cons analysis, or whatever the brainstorm may be. And again, I'm sitting back, I'm letting them do the work. That's how you get them engaged. You get more and more of the participants coming to the screen and participating and giving you the information. So try and do as less push as you can, as much pull, and get them leaning in. And these are just little activities as well, just to show you what's possible in Adobe Connect. Adobe Presenter is a little plug-in for PowerPoint, and it allows me to create these little things here. I can just drag and drop things around. Again, it's just like a little quiz. I can drag around. It's again putting the emphasis on the participant to participate and submit. And oops, got that wrong. I don't know the answers to this. But again, it's just another activity using a very simple tool. Nothing special in terms of just creating a little bit of interactive content for it. So other things we can do are breakout rooms. So breakout rooms is where actually we might have 20 people. We want to break them out into 4 or 5 different groups, get them participating amongst each other and come back with some feedback and what have you. So breakout rooms, a bit like another layout. Basically just to show you that, I'll move myself into breakout room 1, I'll start that breakout, and in this breakout room I've actually preloaded an activity. So I'm kind of saying, so you can just see the instructions, read the instructions for breakout room 1, role play it, you have 20 minutes and be prepared to come back and do it. So they go, oh, what do I do? So again, using simple PowerPoint navigations, these are my instructions, okay, blah, 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 right? Oh, it's based on the EDAC cycle, what's that? Okay, and that's it there. Okay, right, and then they have clear instructions, they know what to do. I can surf through those breakout rooms as the trainer, I can coach them, I can help them, and then I can end the breakouts at the end of the session and bring them back and have a plenary discussion where they can actually then role play that out in front of everyone else, and we can all have some fun that way. So other things that we can do, coffee breaks. Let's not do for too long without giving them a break. So again, this is just a very simple layout. I put a rock, paper, scissors game in there, so they can play that amongst themselves. Click on player 1. They can go away for 15 minutes. You can give instructions what you want them to do. You have a countdown timer so they know when they need to come back and return and get focused again, and so on and so forth. So again, build in those breaks, give them the same sort of breaks. You probably need to make the breaks a little bit more frequent than you would do in a normal training environment, but give them those opportunities to catch their own breath and make a coffee, do whatever they need to do. So here's one thing which I think is quite important, and I'm calling it the power of the pause. You've probably heard of that. You might have heard of it in a sales environment, a training environment, a brainstorming environment, whatever it may be. But in a virtual classroom environment, this is really, really powerful. If you keep talking and you don't stop, no one's going to talk to you, okay? Because they're going, I got to listen, got to participate, and everything else. So when you ask a question of your participants, stop talking. Do a little mental in your head, count to 10, as slowly as you possibly can. And it's going to feel awkward, it's going to feel horrible because there's silence and no one's giving you any feedback for the first 3 seconds, and those 3 seconds felt like 3 minutes. But hold on to it, hold on. The longer you keep quiet, the more someone will eventually step up and go, yeah, I'll volunteer, or I'll contribute, or I'll say something, or whatever it may be. Don't try and fill in that blank space if you're looking for feedback. Hold it for as long as you can. Pause, keep at it, they will come to you and they will answer. Don't you worry. So if you've got a poll like this, what questions do you have? Just sit there and be quiet for as long as you can, and the questions will come. People feel they need to fill the space for you, so let them do that, okay? So again, an important way of getting feedback. It's also, if they are on Candy Crush or watching the YouTube, they will be intrigued by the fact that they can't hear anything in the background anymore. And it might make them come back and go, hey, what's going on? Okay, so now we're going to talk about things to do. So that's kind of inside the room, and you've built your content, and it's all sitting there in your room, persistent content, and every time you go back into that room, it's all still there, it's great, you're ready to go, and you think, oh no, I need to do a practice. So how do you practice in a virtual classroom environment? Well, it's quite easy. Here are my tips. First thing is, either use 2 PCs, 2 screens, a PC and an iPad, whatever it may be. But join one as the trainer, the host, the presenter, whatever you like to call it, and the other one as the participant. And go through your virtual classroom like you would be delivering it. You don't have to actually go through the words and the presentation and that kind of stuff, but actually go through your activities. And make sure you understand that what you're doing as a host is being delivered the way you want your learners to see it. So there's 2 reasons for doing that. If you're not doing it with Adobe Connect, I don't know how it works with other solutions. And I know some solutions aren't as good as sometimes there's delays, there's caches, it takes time to upload and download, and some solutions you need to upload PowerPoint presentations on the fly. But with Adobe Connect, the beauty of doing it with Adobe Connect is you will see how immediate it is. So you will never ever have to say again to your audience, has this uploaded yet? Can you see it? Have you got this video? Has everyone on the same page? Because you just know it happens and it works, and it's pretty cool from that point of view. So use 2 screens, practice going through your motions, which by the way is click on this slide and then click on that layout and so on and so forth. You will notice that I've gone through quite a lot of content with you, and I've not wrestled with the technology at all. I've literally just gone down through the right hand side and clicked on every single layout based on every single activity that I've done. It's a good feeling for you to practice doing that and see how easy it is, and I think that's really important. If you really want to give yourself a hard time in terms of practicing, then go into a live session, record yourself, watch the recording and cringe, and share that recording with your colleagues and cringe even more. You will be your own worst critic. You know, if you watch a recording of yourself, you will really look at those likes and dislikes and go, oh no, I really need to change some of these things. It's a really painful thing to do, but if you really want to get some really cruel feedback, give yourself your own feedback. And if you're brave enough, you can share it with colleagues. They tend to be a lot nicer than yourself in terms of the feedback you give yourselves. So there's just some ideas in terms of how you can practice from that point of view. So a couple more slides just to finish off, and I'll hang around if there's any questions as well for 5 minutes. So here's some little tips at the end. So try and visualize the learners that are out there. Do whatever you can to visualize them. You know, imagine the audience, because quite often this might be what you're seeing. So I do some crazy things. One is, there's 2 reasons why I put my webcam on. One is, I like my audience to see me, because I think it keeps them engaged a little bit more. But also, I can talk to myself. Sounds crazy, but I look at my video and I talk to myself. And I can see my hand movements, my gestures, and you'd be surprised the difference it makes to your voice, your tone, your gestures, the way you come across, just talking to yourself. Because it kind of reminds you that there's body language going on here. And it makes you, and you actually NLP yourself almost, if you know what I mean, which is quite interesting. So do try and switch your webcam on if you can. There's other little tips and tricks in Adobe Connect. So there's like a presenter only area. And in the presenter only area, I sometimes will add the attendees pod. So again, I can kind of get a visual representation of who's in the room. I can see the list of the participants. None of the participants can see that because it's in my area only, if you know what I mean. So again, that helps you visualize the audience. It's also a useful area if you've got a co-presenter. You can have a chat box in there where you can just have a private chat between you and the co-presenter. You can prepare slides in there, drag them across when you're ready, and so on and so forth. So you can prepare breakout rooms and all those types of things. But again, we're just talking about visualizing the learners. Do try and remember your likes and dislikes. Remember, you were a learner, you joined those sessions as a learner, you cringed at certain moments, there's things that were really dull, really boring. Try and treat your learners the way you wanted to be treated as a learner when you were in a virtual classroom as well. So try and always hold on to those. And respond. Respond to everything. You know, if someone puts something in the chat box, say, great point, great question, like that, or I'm coming to that in a few minutes, whatever it may be. Don't ignore people who lean in and contribute to you, because they will start ignoring you. So respond to everything. But it doesn't need to be a full response, it's just an acknowledgement. It's a, yeah, great point, coming to that, whatever it may be. I think that's really important. So try and keep your eye on the chat, people raising their hands, whatever it may be. And above all, try and encourage that interaction. Those, 5 or 6 layouts that I showed you in terms of how you can build different sort of interactions to encourage people to lean in and get involved in your session. Okay, last slide. Everything that I've tried to show you today is about enabling you to present and deliver virtual classrooms with confidence. And I think this is the most important thing that comes from this. Because you've done your practicing, because you've preloaded everything, because you know how it's going to work, because you know you're not going to have to wrestle with the technology and multitask and upload a PowerPoint slide or a presentation because you're changing from one to another, or upload a video and you've got to wait for the video to upload and you're going, oh, has everyone got the video? Is this working? Is it not working? Whatever. Because you've got 15 polls already built and ready to go and you don't need to rewrite the polls. You really do not need to wrestle with this technology, because you prepare in advance, you lay it out in layouts, and you're ready to go. You are literally just clicking through each activity seamlessly, one by one, one by one. And you will enjoy doing it. Because you enjoy doing it, your participants are going to enjoy receiving it. And that whole confidence thing, confidence in the technology, confidence in everything is just going to plan is so important. Because we know that you're confident in your subject matter, we know you're great at the content. So what we're trying to do is show you how you build your technology in a way that you do what you do best, which is delivering the content and not fighting with the technology. And that's really the most important message that I want to try and give you today, is try and put that little bit of planning and preparation in so you can kind of deliver. And once you've done it, it's always there. And course 101 can be repeated as many times as you like, to as many different audiences as you like, because you only put the effort in once. But that's it. I'm going to hang around if there's any questions from anyone. I hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you very much for attending. I am on stand C3 today, which is right as far across the other end of the hall as you can possibly get. So if you want to learn more, get my business card, ask me any questions, come up now or come and see me later on. Thank you very much.